When did you have to choose between two people who loved you the most? I was standing in my bathroom holding a pregnancy test when I realized I'd have to lose someone I loved. Not in some abstract way you think about when you're young, but right there with two pink lines staring back at me. 2 months earlier, a man had pinned me down in the park near campus and took what he wanted while I begged him to stop. I never reported it because I couldn't handle the questions and the looks and having to relive it over and over. My boyfriend Mark flew back early from his work trip when I called him sobbing, and he'd been my rock ever since. But now I was carrying my attacker's baby, and my Catholic mother would disown me for aborting it. The thing is, I loved my mother with a fierce devotion only a Catholic daughter can understand. She taught me to pray before I could read, took me to mass every Sunday without fail, kept a rosary in her purse that she'd pull out whenever life got hard. When Dad died drunk behind the wheel when I was 12, she held our family together through pure faith and determination. She was the one who nursed me through depression in high school, who celebrated when I got into college, who called every night just to hear my voice. But she was also the one who told me abortion was murder when my cousin got pregnant at 16. She said anyone who killed their baby would burn in hell forever, and I believed her because I believed everything she said. Mark was different though. He was patient and kind and never pushed me toward anything. But when I told him about the pregnancy, I saw something break in his eyes. We both knew the baby wasn't his since he'd been gone for 2 months before the assault happened. We sat at the kitchen table and decided together that I'd have an abortion because keeping this baby would destroy me. I called my mother for support, thinking she'd understand given the circumstances. "If you murder that innocent child, you are no longer my daughter," she said, her voice cold as winter. I tried to explain about the attack and the trauma and how I couldn't look at this baby without remembering the worst night of my life, but she cut me off. "That baby didn't hurt you. You're letting your boyfriend manipulate you into killing a gift from God." She went on for 20 minutes about how Mark was poisoning my mind and how I'd regret this forever and how Dad would be ashamed of me from heaven. By the time I hung up, I was shaking so hard I couldn't stand. When I told Mark what she said, he sat me down and spoke more firmly than I'd ever heard him. "I love you, but I cannot raise that man's baby. If you keep it, I have to leave. This is your choice, but those are the options." Some people might think he was cruel, but I knew he was being honest about what he could live with, and I respected that even as it tore me apart. I spent 3 days unable to eat or sleep, caught between the two people I needed most. My mother called constantly, leaving voicemails about how I was choosing hell over heaven. Mark held me while I cried, but didn't take back his ultimatum. I knew he'd probably stay even if I kept the baby because he loved me that much, but I also knew it would poison everything between us. He'd resent the child and hate himself for it, and eventually that hate would spread to me too. On the third night, I sat in bed typing and deleting the same text to my mother over and over. My hands shook as I finally wrote, "I'm getting the abortion," and hit send. The message showed delivered for an hour before I tried again, sending just "Mom," but that one never went through, and I knew she'd blocked me. I called her phone and got nothing. I tried her landline and heard my own brother say she didn't want to talk to me. 23 years of being her daughter ended with a text message that took 5 seconds to type. The next 3 weeks were the longest of my life. My mother called the police claiming Mark was abusing me and holding me hostage, and we had to explain to 2 officers that I was fine while she waited on the phone for them to arrest him. She tried calling me from other numbers to tell me I was going to burn in hell with my murdered baby. The day of the procedure, she somehow found out and left a voicemail saying I'd never see my dead father again because he was in heaven and I was headed for damnation. I went through with it anyway. The procedure itself was quick and relatively painless, just some cramping and then it was over. When I got home, I cried for hours, not because I regretted it, but because I finally felt free. The weight I'd been carrying since the assault was gone, but so was my mom. A week later, I got my period and Mark cried harder than I did. We ordered Chinese food and watched bad movies and didn't talk about my mother at all. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. I'd lost my past, but kept my future.